if you thought seeing the Dash making roster moves before the season will get you hyped up, well, the schedule dropped off, and it feels like we need to be hyped up. The 2026 NWSL season is around the corner. Well, welcome once again to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast with the Origin Blueprints. As your host, Manny Olivares here, but I got my boy
How
Fernando
we doing?
Mendoza. I got Fernando.
Fernando. Firstly,
I
I'd
was
like to thank. Firstly, I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank everybody for getting me an opportunity to be a part of Orange and Blueprints. Who would have thought that playing quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers would have led to leading the nation in Houston Dash coverage here with my guy Manny Olivares. Manny
bro,
Olivares. I kind
bro,
of look like him. I kind of
bro,
look like
bro, bro. I know. I was like when I saw the game, I was like, wait, is this Diego? Does Diego have a side job that I don't know about?
Hey, I might be the quarterback of the Hoosiers. You never know.
You mean the quarterback of the Los Angeles Raiders at this point?
Nah. I really hope he does not go there.
It's either that or the Jets. Come on.
Yeah. I hope he goes to New York.
Yeah.
That way I can see him. I can see him. I can see my twin. Be like, Fernando, it's good to see you. Oh my
I know.
god.
I was like, man. But I was like, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's Diego right there in life. They just what a foot taller than you.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
probably like more skilled, athletic, and gonna be the number one overall pick. So
yeah, and give you
amidst
millions of dollars.
amidst rumors, I am not Fernando Mendoza.
But it's just funny. It's just funny. No, but welcome all again to another edition. We're I think last week, it was a lot of talk about the roster decisions and everything, but this has popped up to be a very good conversation to talk about. I think
Mhm.
roster decisions is always a good thing to talk about. You see how the squad is building up, but most importantly, it's your schedule. Your schedule.
Yeah.
It's your how the schedule. It's sort of random at some point because you kind of know the teams you're facing. It's not like the NFL or any American League. You kind of like see who you get, but you know the teams you're gonna get. It's just how it falls for you. If you got an easy route, or easy opening or easy closing, or tough start or a tough ending. And I feel like the Dash this year feels like has a mix of both. It's just we'll
Mhm.
go into why and see that. But I think overall, Diego, what's your thoughts on the schedule?
I mean, I think it's a great home slate. I think that's something that the Dash have I felt lacked at recent times, where it's like you see big teams being spread out throughout the season. You see the opener against Boston Legacy, a return of some Houston Dash players like the one and only Chloe Ricketts and Barb Olivieri. And then we go over to a May 20 game against San Diego, and before that, Denver Summit. I think those are two good back-to-back home games. Um, and then you go August 1st against Gotham, the defending champs, and amongst all the competitions that they're currently playing in or about to play in, and then you wrap it up in October with Washington, Orlando, and Portland. That's a insanely tough three games for the Dash to wrap up their home season. Um, but I think the biggest shock for me comes in the away schedule. You mentioned it. Yeah, it's not necessarily the most surprising thing when it comes to the randomization, because I don't even know if that's a word, but in the schedule, you don't really see those, like, are we gonna go to New York away, or are we gonna go to LA? It's pretty much guaranteed that, like, you play every team both home and away. Like, you pretty much have that security. So you see an Angel City away, you see a Gotham away, you see a Boston Legacy away, you see a KC away, which is one of the tougher places to play in the league. And I think what just surprises me is that I just appreciate the fact that it's spread out. I think it's great to see so many big matches um, a little spread further because I felt like last year we had all of them at the beginning of the season, which really helped cause that slow start.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to watch over, and and see how things pan out. I think it's just very interesting how things go, and see how uh I think things are positioned, I think, at this point because the NWSL this year, well, other than adding two more teams uh,
Hmm.
to the system, so you add more four games as well. Of course, interesting how you know the schedule will break down because of the World Cup, the Men's World Cup. Trying to not take a break, but try not interfere with that, and of course the Challenge Cup, which used to be a tournament, now it's like a preseason
Hmm.
tournament, but now that has been switched into the during that break, that summer break as
Hmm.
well. So that's gonna be interesting as well. We're still, once again, the end of it, so recognize as well. The confirmation of, that it still be 8 playoff teams. So now it's still real good to see that as well. You have 8 playoff teams. You add all this into this schedule, but I think it's the schedule looks great. The schedule, like you mentioned, of everything how it's going to be. I think the only thing is just okay. How will the teams fall in your favor?
Yeah.
Who has a major rebuild? Who has a major thing? I think my question to you, after before talking, I think is the streaming services. Now you
Yeah.
add an extra one of Victory Plus. Those who won't
Hmm.
know, it's a sort of a free subscription, just like the NWSL Plus, but on a different
Hmm.
platform. How do you
Yeah.
feel? How stretched this NWSL before everything was on Paramount Plus or CBS CBS Sports Network until the new CBA came in. Then you got Ion, and you got Prime, and you got NWSL Plus, and you got you know a Victory Plus now, and then of course then you don't forget about ESPN this year. Of course, I don't know. The Dash does not have no ESPN. Well, actually, the last game, literally the last game of the season, they have an ESPN game. But how do you feel about? I think I think maybe it's a good thing or it's a bad thing that NWSL is trying to cast their net so wide on multiple
I,
platforms.
I think looking at the NFL as kind of the prime example of a league that does similar things where it's like every single day of NFL football has a different channel at this point. I actually last season appreciated NWSL Plus and Ion. I felt like giving fans a free way of watching their team is a winner in any book and
Mm-hmm.
just growing the game here in the United States. And I think to continue to do that with new options, I think it's great. Ideally would have been better if that free was attached to something like a Prime or like a Paramount Plus, but realistically that's not going to happen. Um, so I think if we continue to make these games more accessible to more people, then we're just gonna have more people tuning into the sport, to the game, and isn't that really what we all want? Like
Mm-hmm.
to get this team. I'm talking about the Dash, but more in the big picture. Get this league the attention that it deserves, and I think is it going to be a little trickier to watch some games, probably, but I think giving people free opportunities to watch the game that we love to cover week in and week out, and that we love to watch outside. Because I love watching the NWSL. I think, like, even if the Dash aren't playing, I love going into NWSL Plus and going going to check out Gotham's game, going to check out KC's game because, like, even if I'm not a fan of them, of their teams, sorry Gotham, I I love to watch it. I genuinely do, and so giving people an opportunity with victory, I think that's a no brainer in my book.
Yeah, I think it's just that. I think I don't mind like if it's free streaming service. I don't mind it at all. I think it's a good opportunity, a new platform. maybe people like prefer one over the other. So so
Mhm.
sometimes you kind of like want that variety of different announcers, different people covering the sport to
Mhm.
have a chance on, for instance, at CBS or NWSL Plus, or Prime Video. So it's a very interesting, distinction on that. So I kind of like that approach, but it's very just how things are handled on that way. I just, I think is if you're I think if you are a loyal fan or a season ticket member holder, you know what channel your team's gonna play it.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
already know. But I think for people who are new, they might have struggled to find it. I think if you like that, it's like that in NFL. You kind of had to program to find out what channel your team is playing. So same thing. I think it's just the America market and everything how that goes. But just want to touch on that because I think people do question like what's victory plus, what's victory plus, but I think it's just what is that and how it will benefit the league. I think it's just like you said, more exposure, and also I think at the end of the day, people use victory plus for other sporting events, mostly hockey, and I think that's what I see the most over there. So but now it's on more channels, more availability, so not bad to
Mhm.
see that. But let's just go back on the schedule, real quick. Like your first, the first, I think, I would say the Dash has an uh, easy, uh, beginning to the schedule. I think because of
Mhm.
course, other than San Diego Wave, that has made a huge Lumila for Delfina Cascarino, who left. So it was really interesting. Of course, you got Boston. You got to see how Angels going for Racing Louisville. You kind of know how they are, barely make the playoffs. North Carolina Courage, Seattle, Utah, and Denver again. So Denver and Kansas City. So you kind of see how this. I would say just to on the Kansas City side, I feel like you know we always kind of want to mark down Kansas City because that's I think those closest rivals we have in this end of the season. But they have a loaded schedule. They have to
Mhm.
play Champions Cup, CONCACAF Champions Cup, and see how it goes down. But I think for me, I look down May 31st all the way to May 18th. The Dash plays 4 away games in a row. Why
Mhm.
I mark that down? Because I feel like the Dash personally plays better away, and I feel like I don't know why. I feel like it feels like the Dash plays a lot better away than they play home. I feel like they
Yeah.
struggle at home. And when
Yeah.
they go away, I feel like they just have a kick up in the backside to get a result. So I feel like that's one I looking forward to. And interesting, that is right.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, well, of course, that's interesting too because reason why May 31st is the last game before the break, and then you have the break because of the World Cup, and then they come back July 3rd. So so it's really interesting how they break that up and see and the dash for that. So maybe more motivation to them to get start back up. But I think my question to you, Diego, last year, the dash started the season really in a bad start, really kind of dig themselves in the
Yeah.
hole because they started the season with the first 5 year 5 wins, 4 losses, and 4 draws. Given the schedule you see, would they have a better start to the season this year, or you think it's too early to tell?
I think it's way too early to tell. I don't necessarily love your point about Houston having it easy at the beginning of the season. I think when you're around expansion teams, you have so much pressure.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether this is what is being said in the locker room, but I know from a perspective of watching for for 10 plus years, seeing in so many leagues and so many sports and so many different environments when expansion teams are brought up, you see the pressure be who is the first person to deliver this brand new kids on the block their first win. And with all due respect, nobody wants to be that team.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to be that team. Granted, there's a chance that Boston or Denver end up making the playoffs or contending or even winning the NWSL. You don't know. I don't think that's going to happen with their rosters. I think Boston might sneak into the playoffs. I
Yeah.
think they might sneak into the playoffs. I think they are talented enough to do that.
Hmm.
However, specifically, they are going to look for their first win, and that is added pressure, considering you are at home.
Hmm.
Home opener, Boston Legacy. You can't lose, and we have seen in these environments before where
Hmm.
you can't necessarily lose this game because of XYZ playoffs,
Hmm.
an expansion team, whatever it be. I can immediately point to the Washington Spirit game when we went to their house, Audi Field last year, and it was I wouldn't label it as a must win, but it was a pretty much you have to get some semblance of a result here in order to qualify for the playoffs, and we ended up losing 4-0. I think that's probably not going to repeat itself. I don't see ourselves losing by a huge margin against Boston, but I'm just highlighting it to kind of keep drilling on the idea of like we cannot label like a team like Boston, a team like Denver as easy wins. And then you
Hmm.
look at Seattle, we have had Seattle's pretty much number
Hmm.
away. We have away. You mentioned that we played better away. That home record against the Seattle team, that's scary because Seattle's also been pretty good at our house. And yeah, Louisville, NC definitely they're a little bit of question marks. I think those are pretty easy, simple wins to grab. I would say, especially at North Carolina, where you kind of know the way that they're gonna play, even though they have that had the whole manager turmoil last year. They're gonna play from the back. They're gonna play slow. They're gonna play physical. So I mean, considering we had an overhaul of technical players come into this team, I think we're gonna be able to dispatch that. Um, dash dispatch. Um, I'm trying to think of kind of Louisville's approach to that game because they were a little more of a question mark. But that's the first four home games. And you look at away, March 14, you get San Diego. That's one of the toughest games, in my opinion. When you're an NWSL team, you got to go to San Diego and get a result. That's going to be extremely tough. And then you got LA. LA's got some good fans. They've got some good fans. They've got
Hmm.
arguably maybe what maybe maybe what could have been um the I don't remember if she was the rookie of the year. She was second place in that voting, but Riley Tierman,
Yeah.
she was the rookie of the year.
I think she was. I think she. Yeah. I think she was. I can't remember
She
at this
was
point.
okay because I was about to
Yeah.
comment that like she should have. I love Lily Real from Gotham. I love Lily Real. Thought Riley was a little more effective on that front when it comes to club success, and I'm talking about the champion Gotham, of course. I'm saying that. However, that's a tough game. So an easy start to the schedule, I'm not sure. Because remember, you have to consider there are 8 playoff spots, and I can
Yeah.
probably name you 10 teams that deserve a playoff spot. Not that can contend for a playoff
Yeah.
spot. That can pretty much say that labeled they're deserving of a playoff spot. Gotham, Washington. I would label KC. Orlando, I think, have one more like strong season ahead of them. You have maybe Boston, San Diego. You have all of these teams that are like pretty much claiming automatic spots into the playoffs. So you see the talent pool and you're thinking, how many games are truly easy games? And you look at
Hmm.
Chicago, Utah, and you're like, oh, they are really easy.
AFC.
Bay FC. I don't know because I don't like our performances from previous years,
Yeah,
especially when
I
we're
feel
away.
yeah, but at the same time, it's don't want to call your thought, but at the same time, um, it's very hard to see how things are going. I feel like there's no big additions to teams. I think a lot of teams are focusing on signing rookies. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's the trend I see on the NWSL news. No big
Mm-hmm.
splurge on proven or quote, proven players
Mm-hmm.
like either from outseas to come here. So it's really a lot of rookies so far signings, which is sometimes could be scary or sometimes could be good because you never know who could be the next, rookie of the year that can shake the team. I think well, piggyback on you, I says on Boston and Denver, I get it. Expansion teams, it's a wild card. You don't know how they play, how they do, but they just the recent track record of the NWSL with expansion teams hasn't been really that great. Their first years of expansion teams have been really, I think, really poor. Other than Angel City, and I think San Diego Waves just because of the Alex Morgan draw, but not really as more of a success on the pitch because for them it took a while as it to get started. So I just the reason why I say it's easier just for them. Maybe they have the pool, and but just going by the record how NWSL teams go at with their first season, the league
Mm-hmm.
is really a rough start. I don't know why it was the issue. I think MLS does it, and teams click off the bat. Like for instance San Diego FC, like really jump off the bat. But I just
Yeah,
for
but then you see teams like Austin have a great first year, have a great second year, and then fall off the face of the planet in their third.
yeah
I I think with expansion teams you have to let them breathe. And here's the thing. I You can't expect these expansion teams in Boston and Denver to have season long success because
yeah
you're thinking about it. You mentioned you're right. These expansion teams in the NWSL did not have prolonged success in their first season, but they picked up a lot of key wins. They
mm,
played entertaining football, especially Angel City, which did have that season of success. I think the question isn't necessarily should we look out for these teams going in late into the season. It's we get to play them. We get to play both teams in our first four home games.
mm,
That's when all of the hype is going to be in their favor. Eyes are going to be on their side, and everything that can go right could go right, if that
yeah
makes sense. I won't say will go right because ultimately I don't know. But my best assumption is that, yeah, this is a great chance for Boston or for Denver to say, hey, especially Denver, hey, Diego, you didn't rate our roster. Now watch us beat your dash. Like, that's the mindset and that's the mentality that these teams are going for. And I think it's really easy for like a dash team that has a lot of talent. But
yeah
again, I don't know how Fabrice is gonna want to play this team. And if he goes with a lot of youth, I don't know if they might be able to withstand 90 minutes of Bianca St. George
yeah
or have enough game tape of Sammy Smith outside of Europe. Um, it's those question marks that really should scare you because, for example, an NC Courage, a Louisville, you know how they're going to play. And so you might walk up to those teams, even if it's Orlando. I love using Orlando as an example because they have been historically over the past, I would say, 3 years, 4 years, maybe
I think so,
roughly.
yeah.
Roughly, they have been a significantly stronger team than us. But yet, every single time for the past 2 years, ever since Avery Patterson has been on this team, they have got some amazing performances and they've also gotten results.
mm,
I like again, we went to their house and only lost because of a 99th minute goal.
yeah
That's a performance. And you can't necessarily rely on those types of performances with a team you don't necessarily know everything about.
Yeah.
And so there is a chance these are easy wins. And there's a chance that just your prediction of like Boston and Denver just completely tank and just are not good teams. But with that comes the caveat of if they pick up 2 wins all season and one of those wins is against the Houston Dash, that is tanking the Dash's playoff chances. Because remember, we were shy by win and a half,
Yeah.
2 wins,
I win and draw out things. Yeah. But for
a win and a draw.
you know,
If we lose to those two expansion teams, doesn't matter whether they're terrible or they're champions, because they ultimately were a big reason why we aren't in the playoff come November. And I
yeah.
think that's exactly why I can't confidently say that this is an easy start of schedule, especially
Hmm.
at home. I think you have to come in and beat Boston convincingly, have a great performance. I think Fabrice has the potential to nail this on a tactical standpoint. I think the team has loads of talent to compete, and I would even take it a step further. I think they're talented enough to maybe make a run at this thing, but that can't happen with a start like last year.
Yeah. I believe
And a
so.
loss against Boston is not a great look considering the style of play and the adjustments that had to happen at the first half of the season last year.
Yeah. I think so too. I think I just hope that the team off the bat gets you know, gets on what they left off last season, and integration with young players and veteran players just to get off in the right. But I think before we finish off the schedule, we talking about schedule. Just want to focus on just the last 2 months of the season. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's the one. I just want to talk about going to a decision day. It's feel like it's very very kind of hectic for the Dash. They plays within from September 6th, which just starts from the last of the month, the September, and always to November 1st, which is the last game, decision day. You face Orlando twice. You face Portland twice. You face Washington Spirit, and you face uh, uh, yeah, we face and then of course you have Utah, Boston, and Chicago in the middle of those matches. So you face two teams that would be quote unquote, in the playoffs, which is Orlando and the Spirit. You know, but of course Portland right now it's up in the air. I think with Portland, because of course uh, you know uh, a former friend, a former assistant head coach, of the Dash, Sarah Loudon, is at the moment interim head coach for them,
Mm-hmm.
and of course they let go of technically their engine of the team, Sam Coffey, to Manchester City. So very very much up in the air how that team's gonna be, you know. So it's very much we don't know. We literally don't know what that team's gonna be. So I think if just for the sake of argument, imagine Portland doesn't skip a beat. Just do the same Portland. You know, how tough is that schedule with if Portland is to uh give a high performance like they did last year?
Well, that's a really tough break. I mean, Portland was also the decision day headliner for us.
Away, it was
Last
away though. Yeah,
it was away, but
yeah,
result was 2-0 loss.
yeah,
And that's coming off arguably the biggest win of the season against KC. I think having a tough schedule throughout is never fun, but I think this is just
uh,
looking like another ghost the Dash can't really catch.
yeah. That's what I say. Like, like if you look at the schedule, I feel like the beginning schedule looks more easier than the ending schedule.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I think the Dash has a easier beginning of the schedule, but a tougher and on the schedule that they if they miss, you know, it's
Just a quick little thing. The Dash are on a 2-game losing streak in decision days.
yeah,
They were they conceded 3 against Bay FC and they conceded 2 against the Thorns.
yeah.
Decision day, not their skill set. I will say that. Um, I mean, do you see a result coming our way?
On decision day, I think depends on how the team performs. Of course, I feel like we did beef up the squad. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
there's a rookie, you know, Kitty Fasse, Le Kilke, Cat Raider, and the Allmark, and mixed within, of course, veterans like Jane Campbell, Yasmin Ryan, Avery Patterson. You so you
Avery Patterson, a veteran.
yeah, at this
Oh
point,
my gosh, I don't think she's gonna love to hear that.
yeah, at this point, I think at this point, you have to call her a veteran or superstar, whatever you want to
Oh, a
say.
superstar, absolutely. But I was just, I don't think
I think
she's gonna be too happy with you after hearing this episode, and we get an interview this season.
a better, but I think what it's just very. I think I mean, if you talk, players that have like strong starts to end their career, I think the first person you come is like Trey Rodman. She's still like
Yeah,
what 21,
yeah,
22, 22, and yes, she's like a veteran in the game because she's been playing since she
yeah.
was 17. You know, so it's like once you have that high, you know, high mark on an early start of your career, and you go into the basically starting for almost every U.S. women's national team lineup. Technically, you do see, even though you don't feel like it, but you are technically a veteran to some of these
Mm-hmm.
players. So it's very interesting. But I think for me, it all depends how these new rookies integrate with the team and see
Mm-hmm.
if their college, performance translates well to the NWSL. I feel like without the draft, the Dash has been more selective on the rookies they do instead of being
Mm-hmm.
forced to be like, the draft. You pick a rookie, and you're like, oh well, we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. But now you actually get cream of the crop and see which players want to fight, and so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes and see how those player goes as well. Of
I
course,
think I will also throw in. Not only are we 0-2 in the last 2 years, we are 0-3 in decision days.
yeah.
So the year before that, we lost to Orlando 1-0.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, I remember that game.
So throughout Avery Patterson's career as a Houston Dash player, she has never won a decision day game. I don't like that. I don't like that stat.
It's. I think it's just at the moment. I think decision day. It's hard. It's hard. You just like you. I feel like I get it. The whole season might come down to one game, but it depends how you get to that one game.
Yeah.
I think it really depends how you get to one game, and it's the decision games are getting harder and harder because more games, more tournaments are being involved, more to put on the players. So it's like very up in the air how the result will go to you.
Mhm. I will
So
say another conversation about the schedule real quick, just to talk about tournaments and competitions. This is another year where we do not see the NWSL Summer Cup.
yeah,
Obviously, with interruptions with the FIFA Men's World Cup and other things that
and also
will.
this year is also Women's World Cup qualifications.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Do you feel like you would like to see the Dash have similar to what we did last year? It was like a 2, 3 friendlies, or do you want like a Teal Rising Cup, which is, for those who don't know, a tournament style friendly that happened in KC with Kansas City, Angel City, Corinthians, and I believe Sao Paulo.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Sao Paulo is the one that I don't remember, but those three teams, like those three teams, and they battled it out. What do you prefer?
I think hopefully I think if you don't have another chat summer cup, I think something like that will be good. Something
Hmm.
teams maybe out of the NWSL market.
Hmm.
I don't mind if some a team from Liga F
Arsenal.
or at the WSL, but it's gonna be hard because our summertime is gonna be very very early for those teams, so they're barely going into off season, you know, and so it's very hard to schedule them. I think it's gonna be, I think whatever teams you get, that's outside your, but also high competition. I feel like teams that we play with Liga MX Femenil, I feel like we just wiped the floor with them, and I feel like it's good, get the motivation, get the game fitness, but it's like not very good level competition, I think but I think but seeing other teams other than your league, it's a good reminder that maybe you need to refine some other areas that maybe some the teams you always face week in and
Yeah,
week out. But I prefer a tournament style like that, but with different teams, other than NWSL teams. Like I feel like the Dash sometimes will bring two or three NWSL teams and then one extra team from like Liga MX Femenil. I'm like, yeah, I know we did the what was it? The the USL team. A s-
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Carolina sent.
yeah, that one, Carolina Sun.
Let's go.
Even though I think we beat them, right? I think so.
We did beat them.
Yeah, I know. I just remember the what was it? The Liga MX feminine team, Monterrey
It was
Rayadas
Raya.
again. Yeah, Rayadas,
You
man. We
were at
just
the stadium, no? Or no, you weren't there.
nah. I
You
was at
weren't there.
nah.
You were at the Astros game because
Yeah, friends
you
there.
apparently don't care about the Houston Dash.
Yeah,
There you go.
but yeah, yeah. And so it's like those teams like but it is what it is. It's just have
Yeah.
to see how that goes. But I think that's pretty much it. What comes with that, of course, just other tidbits that we want to freshen up. Preseason is barely on the way, so we don't have no preseason squad yet per se. I know Jeff Strong mentioned that. I think the University of Illinois has announced that Sarah Foley is in the preseason as an invitee, but
Mhm.
I think it's really too early to tell. We know who's an invitee or not, but that's only one we know that's an invitee. That was a preseason camp, so hopefully we see. Preseason camps, it's very hard to tell, because I think Dash over the years invite a lot of these players that finish college but never land into a team and see how they either for fitness or maybe for other things as well. But it's very hard to tell. And last thing, speaking of Avery, when we talked about her veteran that she is, she left the U.S. women's camp due to illness. I think it's sad to see, of course, because that could be a good stepping stone for her to get the match day fitness real quicker before the season starts. But of course, you kind of are sigh of relief that it's just illness and not just an injury or a knock. So it kind of
Mhm.
like, so I prefer illness over than a knock or injury
Oh,
to reverse this.
100%.
So like
100%.
I know Emma Hayes, she's a player that like if you're not 100%, uh, you know, go home and rest because we
Mhm.
need you at your 100%. And then I feel like I think Football W mentioned, I think this past episode mentioned to Emma, that we're just looking for players that are 100%, because getting opportunities to play against teams like Paraguay that you maybe not in your regular is a good training for players so have not faced those teams. So she wants players 100%, if and because right now it's crunch time. It's crunch time for the World Cup. So but I think what I got a little bit of that is that she does admire Avery and other veterans like Trinity Rodman, who's coming back, Mallory Swanson, who's coming back as well, and Sophia Wilson, who's coming back as well. She really
Said
sees.
Smith. You almost said Smith.
I think it's hard because she hasn't played all last year, so no one say Sophia Wilson. So it's like See, even her husband got paid with Cardinals. Got
Hey,
paid. Got
hey,
paid.
give us that money.
But it's just that, see how that goes. But that's pretty much it for today. Nothing real much of that. Hopefully by next week, we'll get a preseason schedule. I know it's a little bit too early. I know the official day is February, and they will start to come out with preseason, who they face for preseason, and if we are invited to see that as well. But that's pretty much it as we go for the schedule. We're very excited to see how this season will come up, so please come out. First game of the season is March 14th, but first home game, March
Rep H
21st.
Town. Rep H Town.
Wrap it up. But thank you for all. And anything else before we close, Diego? Before
Nothing. Just all glory to God. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Fernando Mendoza and Diego Martinez. I'm the same person. Shout out to the Hoosiers for winning the national championship. All my family are actually Purdue Boilermakers. For those who don't know, because I've never mentioned that ever in my life. But shout out, welcome back for those who are tuning in for the first time of the season. And it's been a great deal of fun to talk more NWSL, and I'm so excited that we finally got the schedule.
yeah, so really good. So hopefully, we'll see what tidbits and information comes up soon, and and what we see from that, and we'll break it down for you, as we go through. So thank you for all again for the coming stopping by Bayou City Soccer. You can always log with for us at biocitySoccer.net or on social media platforms just like X, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky at Bayou City Soccer. And we'd like to thank as well with our sponsor Ugly Guppy, Elotes Bravos, and We Got Soccer. So thank you for all once again stopping by. Hope we could tune in next time and see where the Houston Dash comes up. So, but always remember to hold it down.
But